Okay, so it is Wednesday evening in the West Coast, United States and Canada. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join our Zoom today. This is going to be a special Zoom. We started the material that I'm going to be sharing about a month ago. I skipped a couple of weeks due to the conference in Vietnam and other subject matter. And then we're gonna basically jump right back into it. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us. Thank you, Mr. An, for joining us again. Very honored by all of your presence today. So let's jump right into it, okay? This is part of a series called what we're doing is a series called Fullness of Awareness of Human Being. Okay, fullness of awareness of human being. Okay, you and I, we are all human beings. Question is, how aware are we as human beings? Okay, would it be a good idea to get to know who we are as human beings? Because if we can get to a fullness of awareness of what it means to be a human being, then maybe we can start taking ownership of our life as human beings. Human life and experience is the kind of work that we are going to be talking about, okay? So fullness of awareness of what it means to be a human being. Let me just get my note out real quick. So when we started a couple of weeks ago with the introduction, first is a concept of what it means to be aware of something. Okay, first is the idea of what it means to be aware of something. In the simplest term, when we think about something and we either don't know what it's about, or when we think about it and we have a negative inner state, okay? If we think about something and we have a negative inner state, or we don't know anything about it, then really it's just a fact that we are unaware of that subject matter. Okay, we're not aware of it. We don't know much about it, and therefore our inner state tend to be negative. State. Okay. Take, for example, running a marathon. Okay. If we think about running a marathon and we immediately have negative feelings about it, I don't know it, I can't do it, it's too hard, too much pain, I'm not in good shape, all of those negative inner state, that means we don't have a fullness of awareness about what it means to run a marathon just yet. Okay. Of course, once we come to a awareness of what it is, then we tend to have a positive inner state. Positive inner state. Okay. When we talk about running a marathon and we're hopeful, we're excited, we're confident, those are positive inner state. And usually a person who has a positive inner state is more aware of what it means to run a marathon than a person who have a negative inner state. What we'll really try to get at is a state of being fully aware. Okay? In the study of human beings, we find that when a person is fully aware of some concept, their inner state tend to be balanced and positive. Balanced, positively oriented. Okay. At the same time, they have positive mental images. Images, and they have favorable source concept about it. And because they have positive mental images, they have favorable source concept, and because they have a balanced and positively oriented inner state, then the reality of life, the experience of that subject matter is very real to them. And so we have a saying, to be fully aware of something is to have the reality of that thing. Okay, to be fully aware of something is to have a reality of that thing. And so here, it is our intent and purpose to come to a full awareness and perception of human life and experience. Obviously, we want the kind of human life and experience that is positive and desirable. Okay, positive, desirable human life and experience. Hello, Ji Wan. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for your
Okay, wonderful to see all of you here. Thank you.
I'm driving and listening to you.
Okay, alrighty. So that's an introduction about what it means to be aware of something. Okay, so we're going to try to expand our awareness so that our awareness become full. We will try to expand our awareness so that we will have positive mental images, that we will have favorable source concept, and in this case, particularly about human life and experience. Okay, so with that, we're going to do a very quick review of where we started, in the first episode of this series. So consider this. Consider the phrase. Actually, I've written already here. So consider the phrase. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay? So you wonder, okay, what am I talking about? What truth are we talking about? This is a line that we borrowed from the Christian Bible. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Of course, if you ask a Christian, the Christian may quote the Bible saying that the truth is about God so loved mankind that he gave his only son, Jesus Christ, who died for us, and whoever believes in Jesus will live forever. Okay, and that's fine. That is a matter of belief. You can believe it, but you won't know what it means to live forever until you die this bodily death. There is another perception when it comes to the truth. And it is the truth within each of us. And if you come to know the truth within each of us as human being, you will be set free. Okay, if we know the truth that is within us, we will be set free. And the truth is something that does not change over space and time. If it changes, it is not the truth. Okay, and because it does not change over space and time, at any moment in our life, we can return to that truth and we will be set free. Okay, the truth is something that does not change over time and space, and if we know it, we will be set free. So the question is, free from what? Okay, what is this truth and what are we setting free from? Well, how about free from pain and suffering? How about free from negative emotion, bad thought? Free from undesirable life experiences. Okay, so there is a promise in the Bible that says you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. And essentially, it is to free ourselves from negativities in life, from undesirable circumstances, bad emotion, bad thought. Okay, how about free to choose the course of our life? How about to be free to choose the next thought, the next action in our life without being restricted by any life circumstances? Would that kind of freedom be worth exploring? Okay, would that kind of freedom be worth exploring? Okay, the promise is that you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. It is the freedom from suffering, freedom from the constraints of life, freedom to choose our own course of action, and the freedom to choose the kind of life experience that we really, really want. Which I assume most people tend to look for things like happiness, okay, peace. How about good health? How about free to choose harmonious relationship? Okay. So in order to be totally free, all we need to know is the truth within us. It's that simple. In order to be totally, utterly, completely free, all we have to do is to get to know the truth within us human beings. Okay, it is, once again, it is called the truth because it does not change over space and time. Okay, because if it changes over space and time, when we take refuge in it, it's different, and we cannot count on it. Okay, we can always count on this truth within us because it is already always there. There is a truth within us human being that is already always there. And because it is already always there, we can always take refuge in it, anchor in it, and be set free by it. Okay, are you ready for that? You guys ready for the truth within us? It is so simple that oftentimes the thinking mind cannot get it, but it's very simple, and I will write it for you. Okay. So deep within every human being is the will. Okay. Deep within every human being is a will. In the Bible, it says a human being was created in the image of God. Has anybody seen what God looked like? No. But if we study human being, we will be able to see God. And this is something that will point us to that reality. Each of us has a will. And this will manifests as the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. Okay, the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. All wrapped up in a highly balanced, highly energized circle of light that we can simply call the light of our being. Okay, the light of our being. The will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know is the light of our being. It can also be called our true nature. Okay, our true self. And the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know is already always there. It does not change over space and time. And depending on your religious preference, some religion consider the soul. Our body may die, may wither away and disintegrate when we die, but something moves on. Our soul moves on, for instance. Okay, even if you don't believe that there is something called a soul or there's life after death, just take a moment and see if we can notice the will to hear, the will to see, okay, the will to speak, and the will to know. To simplify things, just kind of pay attention to our own will to hear and the will to see. The will to hear and the will to see is different from what we hear and what we see. You see, what we hear and what we see changes. Okay, if I'm looking at you, your image change. If I close my eyes, I don't see the picture anymore. I don't see you anymore. But even as I close my eyes and I don't see you or I don't see any light, the will to see is already there. It is already always there. If there is sound, then I can hear sound. And the sound changes. My voice changes, your voice changes, music changes. But even if there is no sound, then I can still hear no sound. Because the will to hear is already always there. Okay? And when we are looking at, when we're seeing something and or we are hearing something, it is the will to hear that comes first and the will to see that comes first before hearing and seeing something. Okay, so let's take a moment and see if we can notice. Before seeing something, the will to see is first. Before hearing something, the will to hear is there first, because it is already always there. Even if you don't have eyes, the will to see is still there. Even if you don't have ear, the will to hear is always there. And then we're always speaking in terms of thought. Okay, we may not open our mouth and speak words, but we speak in our head. The will to speak is always there. And once we know something, we can never unknow anything. So the will to know is always there. This truth within us is something that makes us human beings. If it is different, then we're not human beings. That's something else. Okay. To be human beings, it seems that we have the truth, the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. And it is already always there. It exists before hearing something. It exists before seeing something. Okay. So what does it mean? This truth, which does not change. How does it set us free? Well, think about it. Okay. At any moment when we encounter any hearing or any seeing, if we're hearing something or if we're seeing something, those are considered messages from the external world, right? This is our internal world. This is our inner being. Any message that we hear or see, those are from the external world. And at any moment, if we encounter any message from the external world, they could be negative or positive. They could make us feel good or feel bad. At that moment, our life experience, depending on what we see and what we hear, is that correct? Our life experience depends on what we hear and what we see. It is the content of the external world that has a way of causing and changing and shaping our experience of reality at this moment. However, at the moment of experience some message from the external world, instead of paying attention to what we hear and what we see, instead we only pay attention to the hearing and the seeing. We only focus on the already always hearing, the already always seeing. That is a truth within us that does not change over time, and there is no content. The hearing and the seeing is the truth within us. It is always there, and there's no content because we're not paying attention to the content, the message that the external world is giving to us. At any moment when we become aware of the hearing and the seeing, it's just a simple truth. We're always hearing and seeing. If we focus on the hearing and the seeing instead of what we're hearing and what we're seeing, then at that moment, we experience a space of emptiness. And from that emptiness, we have inner peace. At that moment, when we focus on the hearing and the seeing, without being trapped by the content of what we hear and what we see, then we are free. Okay, we can set ourselves free simply by noticing the hearing and the seeing, noticing the truth within us. Okay, do you guys get this part so far? Does anybody have a question about this? Let's see if we can get some feedback about this subject matter, about the truth within us, the truth that sets us free. And then before we move on to the next part of the content, which is human nature, this part is called the true nature, our true nature. We can always come back to our true nature and experience emptiness, experience inner peace. And that is how we will set ourselves free at any moment in time. We don't have to wait to die before we live forever. We can experience inner peace right now. Okay? Would anybody like to say something? Chị Huệ, your camera is on. Is it convenient to interact? I appreciate you taking the time to join us. Chị Huệ, Nguyễn Thị Huệ. How about Mary Ann, chị Oanh, Mr. Anh Lê, chị Giao, Hồ Ngọc Phước. Yes. Go ahead, chị Huệ. Would you like to say something?
Thank you, teacher. Today is the first day enjoy your room. I'm very happy because I can English. But I can listen a little.
What did you learn so far today? Anything new to you?
I didn't understand.
Did you learn anything new today?
Yes.
Okay, what did you learn that is new to you today?
I don't know why you enjoy when you see the Zoom on Zalo, so I want to enjoy now.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's good. Well, I'm very grateful that you're taking the time to join us. Okay, I'm very happy and honored by your presence. So let's move on to the next part in the sharing, okay? Let's talk about the human nature. This is our true nature, but let's move on to what's called the human nature. But before that, let's take a quick look at what we already know. Most of you may be familiar with the word self. Okay, let me write that L a little bit better. Okay, we use a different pen too. That pen is not light, darken it. Most of us are familiar with the word self, right? We're also familiar with words like personality. Some of us have heard of the word ego. The self, the personality, the ego. Okay, they all point to the same thing. Sometimes we even hear adjective associated with these words, like that person has a big ego. A big ego. Or another person is egotistical. Somebody may say that person has a great personality, a wonderful personality. Or you may hear words such as selfish or selfless. self, personality, egos all point to the idea that we have human nature. Here, we're going to put the S, okay? We're going to borrow the Buddhist concept of human nature in order to explain human life and experience. Okay? The Bible doesn't explain human nature in depth. Science of psychology, for example, gets really complicated when it comes to psychologies and different personality. But the Buddhist concept of human nature, there are only 16 human nature. And so it simplifies and it can help us manage our own humanity. If we can understand ourself, if we can understand our personality, our ego, through the Buddhist concept of human natures, then we will begin to master ourselves, master our personality, master our own ego, and eventually master our own human life and experience. Okay? So there are 16 human natures. Okay, the central focus of which is desire and imagination. We'll get to that in a bit. But just know that there are 16 human natures, the central of which are desire and imagination. But before that, so beyond our true self, this is our true self, is our, our true self is also called our true nature. So beyond our true nature, there is the human nature that all of us experience. According to the Buddhist concept of human nature, we begin with the nature of reception. Okay, the nature of reception. As human beings, by way of our will to hear, the will to see, we receive things from the external world. We receive messages. It is our nature of reception. Whatever people say, what we hear, whatever images that we see, we take into ourselves. Okay, the idea of reception is to take into ourselves. We have the nature of reception. Okay, as we receive things, we start to have content. Okay, as we start to have content, what happens is we begin to imagine. So we have the nature, imagination. Okay, as human beings, we have the nature of imagination. The will to see manifests itself as the nature of imagination. We imagine things. We imagine the past. We imagine the present. We imagine the future. And when we imagine things, we notice that it takes on a certain polarity. Sometimes we imagine things and our inner state becomes negative. Sometimes we imagine things and it's positive. Another time it's just balanced. Okay, so our imagination has a certain direction to it. It's positive, it's negative. Okay. So consider this. At the moment that we imagine something, whether it's the past, the present, or the future, at the moment that we imagine something and our inner state is negative or positive, that is our experience of life at that moment. Our human life experience is a result of our imagination in that moment. Can you guys get that? When we're thinking about something, imagination can take on images, imagination, or imagination can take on words. So when we're thinking about an image or we're thinking about a word and our inner state take on a positive or negative state, then that is our life experience at that moment. Okay. So if we imagine and our inner state is negative, then at that moment of imagining, our life experience is negative. If we imagine something and our inner state at that moment is positive, then our life experience is positive. And if we imagine something and our inner state is balanced, then our life experience at that moment is balanced. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Right, Andrew? It makes sense, right? At any
Makes
moment that
sense,
we
makes-
imagine.
Makes sense. We just got to control.
Okay. Okay. So one step at a time. Okay. So let's take a look at human life and experience. Okay. Would you agree that human life and experience can be summed up into basically, let's see, human life and experience can pretty much be summed up or divided into the past, the present, and the future. Okay, let's write that again so that it fit in one page. Our human life and experience is the past, the present, and the future. Okay. Now consider the law of causality, or cause and effect. Let's take a look at our life experience at this moment in the present. If our life in the moment, in the present, is the effect, then what is the cause of our present life? What determines our present experience of life? Is it the past or the future? What do you think? You guys can type it in the chat. What do you think, Andrew? If our life,
Well, I think experiences that we have help shape our thoughts. So it's
Yeah.
past.
yeah, we would think that our past experiences shape, who we are in the present. Okay, it seems that our past has a way of shaping our present. Okay, in other words, we can say that the past is the cause and our present is the effect. Okay, but what if I tell you that it is not our past that determine our present? What if I tell you that our past does not determine our present, but instead the future determine our present? So I'm gonna see if I can demonstrate that our future determine our present. So here we're talking about imagination, the nature of imagination. So let's use our imagination for a moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's imagine that it is 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. It has been a long week. We've done a lot of work. Our bosses have given us a lot of work, and it is about time to go home. And the boss say, "You can't go home yet. I got some more work to do. You got to finish this part of the project before you can go home." And at that moment, okay, the past is, all the work in the week. The boss has historically been very demanding, and now the boss is giving us extra work. And in that moment, instead of being upset or frustrated, instead we're actually excited. We're actually hopeful. Why? Because in the drawer next to our desk is 2 tickets that will take us onto the vacation of our dream with our favorite person tomorrow morning. Sitting next to us is a plane ticket that would send us to our favorite vacation with our special person. And so instead of being frustrated, we just, okay, let's get it done. We're gonna be really productive, get it done so that we can get on our way to our vacation. Let's fast forward 2 weeks. We're sitting on a beach or on a cruise somewhere with our martini in one hand, music playing in the background. Our favorite person is next to us. We are on vacation. Okay, but instead of enjoying ourselves, we know that back in the hotel room, there are 2 plane tickets taking us back to that old job where we have to deal with the boss and all that work. And so with using that example, it is not the past that determines how we are being in the present, it is the future. You see that? It is what's going to happen next that's going to determine how we are being in the present. Our experience of life in this present is determined by the future, not the past. Of course, all of that is our imagination. All of that is our imagination. So whether it's the past or the future, the question is, can we actually exist in the past? Can we actually experience the past? Can we exist in the future or even experience the future? The answer is no, right? We cannot experience the past, nor can we exist in the past. That which we call the past is nothing more than our imagination about things that we associated as having been past. It is our imagination about things that we associated to having been past. But we cannot exist in the past. We can only exist right now. Imagination about things that exist that we associate as being in the past is called remembering. And when are we doing the remembering? When are we doing the imagination about the past? We're doing it right now. We're doing it in the present. Okay? What about the future? Can we exist in the future? Can we live in the future? Can we experience the future? No, we can only imagine the future. And we're doing the imagining right now. The future is nothing more than an imagined scenario. Right? Did you say something, Andrew?
No, I'm sorry. I'm clearing my throat. Sorry.
Okay.
No.
So whether it's the past or the future, they are nothing more than figments of our imagination. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, whether we're recalling something in the past, it is nothing more than our imagination, and we associate that imagination with something that we think that we have already experienced. And even that is not reliable. Right? My mom and my dad used to argue about the past. They both would attend a party, and mom insisted that person A is there at the party, but dad insists that person B is there at the party, and they are very sure that they are right. So even their recollection or the remembering of the past is not even reliable. And so human beings, not only do we imagine things that we associate as the past, we also associate a positive or negative energy to it.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you have just talked us that future or past is imagination, but I think present is also imagination, because when we when we think about something, it's imagination. So the present, I think, is it, imagination.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the past, the present, and the future are all imagination. And here's the thing.
Yes.
Our imagination takes on a positive or negative polarity to it. If we imagine the past and it takes on a negative polarity to it, we have a negative inner state. Okay, we have certain feelings, we have certain thoughts associated, and it is negative. If we hold on to that negative charge, guess what? Then our present is also negative. When we think about the past or the present or the future, and it takes on a negative inner state, then our reality at that moment is negative. So the wise one teach us this. The wise ones teach us that when we imagine the past, the present, or the future, if it has a negative inner state, don't believe it. Don't believe it. It's just imagination. So when we imagine the present, the past, or the future, and it has a negative inner state, a negative connotation, there's negative feeling, negative thought, then don't believe it. It is just our imagination. If, however, when we imagine the past or the present or the future, and there is a positive energy to it, there's a positive inner state to it, then we can go ahead and believe it. Because by believing it, you essentially make your life experience at that moment real. Right? So basically, we have just given you a formula and a secret to completely turning your life from negative to positive. If it is negative, don't believe it. It's just imagination. It's not real. If it is positive and desirable, okay, you can hold on to that and you can do something about it. And here's the thing. If at this moment, in the present, if our experience of life is positive or balanced, positive oriented, okay? If at this moment, our experience of life is balanced and positive, then guess what the next moment is going to be like? If at this moment, our experience of life is positive and balanced, or balanced and positive oriented, then the next moment, there's a good chance that the next moment will continue to be balanced and positive. And if you can maintain the present moment being balanced and positive, then you can always ensure that the next moment, hence the future, to be balanced and positive. If on the other hand, we maintain negativity and we believe it, then guess what our future look like? It's going to be negative too. In fact, when we imagine the past, we call that remembering. When we imagine the future, we call that projection. Human beings, by ways of our reception, okay, by way of the will to hear, the will to see, we receive images into ourself. And when we start to have content, we start to imagine, and we tend to imagine the future looking like the past. Do you notice that? Do you guys notice that when we tend to project into the future an image that looks like the past? If a person is fortunate enough to have experienced a reality of life where their past is positive, then sometimes it is possible for them to project that image into the future and have a positive outlook in life. But if a person has a lot of negativity in their past, do they tend not to have to take that past and project it into the future, thinking that tomorrow and the next day and the future will look the same as the past?
Sometimes.
Yeah, they tend to do that. But if you know, if you realize that the past, the present, the future, all of that is just your imagination, then you can just chalk it up to imagination if it is undesirable. We can take ownership of our life and experience at this moment. Okay, and we already had another tool to do that. One way to do that is the truth. If at this moment we're experiencing some negativity, we think about the past, we think about the future, and it's negative, then one way that we can disconnect from that is to take refuge in the truth within us. Go back to the will to hear and the will to see. Become aware not of the content of our mind, not of the what we hear, what we see. Instead, become aware of the hearing and the seeing. Know that, okay, I'm hearing, I'm seeing. By focusing on the hearing and the seeing, you're not focusing on what you're hearing and what you're seeing. And thereby we can free ourselves from that negative content of our mind. And when we can free ourselves from the content of our mind, then the next thought, we can create something different. We can create a new possibility. We can even invent a new image. But if you're already negative, it's hard to replace the negative with the positive unless you go balance. So the truth within is a powerful, powerful tool to set you free at any moment in any day from any negativity. Just go back to paying attention to the hearing and the seeing without paying attention to what you're hearing and what you're seeing. Just pay attention to the fact that I'm hearing and the fact that I'm seeing, and that's it. And the longer we can maintain that state of I know I hear, I know I see, just paying attention to the hearing and the seeing, the longer we can maintain that state, is called a state of emptiness, and you will experience inner peace. And from inner peace, we can create whatever we want next. And that is just the power of imagination, okay? The power of the truth next to the imagination. Human beings, we have imagination. Did you guys get anything out of that little interaction just now? Would you like to share or ask any question?
I kind of have a question or would like to describe a scenario
Okay.
to, I don't know what the word is, verify. The present, let's say we're having a party in our backyard. It starts thundering and raining and lightning. That's a negative situation in our present. Somehow we're supposed to eliminate that negative thought and make that a positive. I'm just trying to, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, okay. So we're having a party and it starts raining and thundering in the backyard.
And lightning, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I think I like thunder and rain and lightning, especially in California when we're having a drought. If we're having a drought for many years, then when thunder and lightning happen, I would be very elated. It is very positive for me.
Okay. So we should turn it into a positive somehow.
You don't
whatever
have to
reason.
you don't have to turn it into a positive unless what we're thinking is undesirable and negative. If we're thinking of negative, if we think that it is bad, okay, if we're thinking of it as negative and bad, then at that moment, do you get that your experience of life is negative and bad? Next to a person who experience the same thing, right? You are next to a person who's at the party, but he, instead of feeling that as negative or bad, he's excited. Ooh, so his experience at that moment in time is positive. The question is, do you want to continue to hold on to experiencing that as bad? Or do you want to let go and
Well,
do something else?
well, in that situation, I'll try to do something about it. But that's just an example, a scenario. There are some situations where the negative keeps coming. It could be painful, actually. Let's say you're in a soccer game and you twist your ankle, and it really hurts like a bugger. They gotta carry you off the field. You gotta get medical attention. How do you make that into a positive?
Well,
Like
before
how?
trying, right, good question. Before trying to turn it into a positive, first you need to save yourself from the negative. Just go back to the truth within. I know I hear, I know I see, I know I feel. Don't focus on the pain. Instead, focusing on the fact that I have feelings. There's a space of separation between feeling pain and simply feeling. In fact, at that moment, if you have enough fortune and wisdom, you can rejoice in the fact that you are alive enough to feel pain.
The pain. That's what I try. That's what I try to do.
Yeah, right.
But there's some
But- Mhm.
things we do
Mhm.
required to do that actually cause pain.
Mhm.
Well, people avoid them, but there are some things that we do that cause pain, and we say to ourselves, "This is good for us." I say to myself, "No pain, no gain." But it seems to have a limit.
When we do that, okay, when we play, those are called mind tricks. When we do those mind tricks, it doesn't really work. It just won't make the pain go away. But if you, instead of being in a hurry to switch it over to positive, just be with it and just focus on the hearing and the seeing. Just practice that for a while. And what happened is you will get the benefit of that space of emptiness. I don't know what the next thought is gonna be. For me right now, I'm feeling positive, so I will quickly change it to a positive statement. But however, your experience in that moment is gonna be very different than mine. What I'm saying is that at that moment, you can free yourself from the positive and the negative by focusing on the simple will to hear, the simple will to see, the already always hearing and the already always seeing. Practice that.
So
And I promise you,
appreciate
if you can focus on that,
So
you
just
will
to appreciate that we can hear, we can see.
Mhm.
So appreciate that we can hear, we can see. Let's be happy about that.
And
Right.
don't go that's too far. Just go.
That's too.
That's jumping ahead. That's like leaping before you can, that's trying to run before you can walk. The first step, imagine you were babies, okay? We're like a bunch of babies trying to understand human nature, okay? Before we can run or jump, just take the first step. And the first step is to come to a real recognition that there is a will to hear and a will to see. That's it. And the promise is, if you do that, you will experience inner peace. And from inner peace, whatever comes next will usually be positive and desirable. And it won't be like a trick trying to, trick yourself into or psyching yourself into positivity. No, it'll be different. Okay. It'll be different. It will and give you the power to be with whatever situation that you're encountering and still maintain serenity, still maintain clarity, still maintain peace of mind. And if you can focus and become aware of that already always hearing and the already always seeing, if you can become aware of that, then the problems at hand oftentimes won't become a problem at all. It is possible that you might not even have to solve it. That is just a promise.
Okay, I'll talk to you about this
Yeah.
alone.
Okay. But
I don't
I'm
want to be I only want positivity here.
okay. Okay, good. Well, I do appreciate the question, and I think your question is helping a lot of people here. Okay, don't worry about taking up time or anything like that. Okay, these are very important. These are questions.
I've experienced, I've researched other people's history. It's there for us to see on the Fuquoc Island of the prisoners of war when they were tortured. And when I look at that and see the pain that they endured and what it would take to stay positive, to have serenity while being tortured at that moment, I'm sure those people in those prison camps and undergoing death and torture are very experienced at trying to think positive and keeping positive and seeing and feeling serenity. But I'm just trying to imagine myself. I mean, we've all have other things in life that are difficult. We don't even have to go to torture, but we're talking about realistic things that happen to people, and it still happens today. So they're being tortured. They're being cut and burned and all those negative things. They're negative. You can't change that. I just wonder, I mean, it would be great to overcome that with serenity. I would love that.
I'll tell you now that imagination cannot give us serenity. Imagination, reception, we're going to learn about the other human nature. They have a direction to them. They have a positive and negative polarity to them. And because they have a positive or negative polarity to them, they cannot give us true inner peace. You've been trying to find positivity. You've been trying to find peace using your imagination, and it's not going to work. The only way to experience true inner peace is to go into the true nature part of our human being. The will to hear and the will to see, that's it. Become aware of the will to hear and the will to see. At any moment, this moment, okay, right now, your imagination is running wild, okay? We're thinking about the past, and already it's taken on a negative dimension, right? It is already taken on negative polarity. You're thinking about other people. We are imagining other people. Our imagination is taking hold, and therefore we cannot find inner peace with imagination. And earlier, remember I said, the wise one have taught us that if we experience something If our imagination is negative, just chalk it up to our imagination. Don't believe it. Go back to emptiness. Go back to become aware of the already always hearing and the already always seeing. It's okay if you don't get it now. Okay. For some people, it'll take a little bit of time. Okay. Can we just be with it and maybe,
Yeah.
get back to it some other time? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful question. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure that your question has helped a lot of people. Chị Bích Hà
Right
has
hand.
raised her hand. Hello. Chị Bích Hà,
Hi,
would you like to say
friends.
hello? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, thank you, Frank, for your effort. And nice to see Andrew and Zhao here as well. Hello, Andrew.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Good to see you.
I just like to echo Frank, because the truth within us, Christhood, Buddhahood, is the only way for human beings to protect ourselves from any impact from outside through our eyes or through our ears, from the environment. So I experience different types of meditation, but finally I see that this one is the simple and only way to help human beings from all kind of imagination. So just like Frank said, just being aware of it, that it exists within us, and then one day you will just recognize it and just come back to seeing or hearing in the awareness of everything, and then that's all. So, and I think it's all the things you mentioned about the pain of human beings, and also the same way the opposite direction is happiness. Yeah, we need to have even deeper understanding about karma and all the things like that. And I'm sure that Frank already talked, will talk more about it later on. So just like to say hi, and I will not be able to stay long, so we'll just like take this chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, chị Bích Hà. I love your energy.
You're welcome.
Very, very balanced.
Thank you,
Nice,
Frank.
balanced energy. I love it so much. Thank you for visiting us. Okay. Yeah, all of your questions going to be answered. So kind of stick around with the program. Okay. So let's move on with human nature. Okay. Before, let me just write down for those of you who are taking notes. I know some of you are taking notes. So let me just write down, we said, let's see, the truth within. Okay. The truth
Frank,
within.
just like to share a little bit with Andrew. I
Mhm.
had that idea, that thought came when we talked in a pool. You remember in Ho Chi Minh City?
We talked in the pool.
Yeah. When we take the swimming class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
remember?
right. I remember.
At
I remember.
that
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. At that time, I just had that thought, but haven't shared with you that why you came to Vietnam and stay with us. There is a reason, and why you came to know about all of this wisdom is already have the seed in your inside of you, or your karma. So soon you will get it. I think.
Well, I always try to
So-
take the best I can get out of everything. The wheat, the
Yeah,
chaff,
yeah.
you separate the wheat, the chaff, you take the wheat. So there's always something that I can take with me, always.
Yeah.
And I
Thank you
just
for your
have to try
willingness
to
to learn
I just have to try to
new things.
understand as much as I can.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's it. Thank
I appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. So yeah, for those of you who are taking note, Okay, and Andrew, if you're taking note, it's a good idea to write this down as well. Okay, the truth within. Okay, the truth that set us free is the already always hearing, already always seeing, the already always speaking, and the already always knowing. Okay, and at any moment, just take refuge in that, pay attention to that, notice it. Once you notice it, you will find a separation between that and the content of our mind, and we will be free. Okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, for now we can just let it go and move on. Where were we? Where's that other picture? Okay, human nature. Basically, what we're doing is we are drawing a map of human nature. Okay, a map of human nature. Human nature, we will find, in fact, we already found that there's positive and negative. It's like a storm in the sea, right? Very turbulent. And it is nice to have a lighthouse. Okay, this truth within us is like a lighthouse. At any moment, we can look toward the lighthouse and find our way back to serenity, our way back to the truth within us. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. You can lower your hand. We'll discuss a little bit more later. Okay.
Okay. Teacher, can I have a
Okay. If you really need to say something, go ahead,
yeah,
Jiwan.
thank you for your patience every week, right? But I'm very busy to follow the whole time in your class, but I can hear later and another report. Thank you. I'm very grateful to stay here to learn more concepts and more information from English to transfer for my my job, right? I feel very happy to be in the organization at WIT. Today I have 13, right? My class 13. I can see you. Your class just 8, but my class today 13. And they will come to the temple, to go there, and I will explain the human being belong 3 views, right? 3 views of the life. Thank you very much. Can I off now? And I will continue, right? Another class.
All right, thank you, Jiwan, for your greetings. Okay, thank you. Okay, back to human nature. Okay, Ji Ha, I'm gonna lower your hand. We'll discuss a little bit more. Okay, all right. So let's move on with human nature. We have the nature of perception. We take into our being content. Okay, through the will to hear and the will to see. Once we have content, we imagine things. Okay, and then once we have imagination, we express ourselves through the nature of expression. As human beings, we want to express ourselves. Okay, self-expression. And usually, if we are not aware of the inner truth, we are going to express ourselves based on what we receive and how we imagine. If we have received a lot of negativity and we imagine a lot of negativity, we're going to express ourselves in a very negative way. Okay, and that reflects our life experience. In fact, our expression of ourself can be seen by other people as our personality. Our expression of ourself can be seen by other people as our ego. Okay, our expression of ourself can be seen of ourself as the self. So the self, the ego, the personality, all of that is the expression based on what we receive, reception based on how we imagine things. Okay, that's pretty simple to understand, right? Human beings, we have the nature of expression. And of course, at the same time, based on what we take into ourselves in terms of our will to hear and the will to see, based on how we imagine all of those things, they become part of our nature of cognition. Okay? What our nature of cognition? We all know things, but we also know things in a polarized way. We know things negatively and we know things positively, all depending on how we receive them, how we imagine them, and how we express them. So the will to know manifests itself as the nature of cognition. The will to see manifests itself as imagination. The will to hear manifests itself as the nature of reception. The will to speak manifests itself as the nature of expression. In the Bible, it says, God speak, let there be light. Okay, the will to speak, and there was light, the light of our being. And as God speak, let there be light, he continues to speak, he creates the world. As human beings, we create our world based on our expression. What we say, what we do, all of that is our expression of ourselves. And would you agree that the way we speak, the way we act, create and influence, our life experience? Yeah, we can create our world based on what we say and what we speak. So we look at a person who has a lot of inner peace, whose main state of being is serenity. The way they express themselves is usually peaceful, and therefore their life experience tend to be peaceful. People who are angry, on the other hand, expresses themselves with anger, and so their life experience usually is surrounded by similarly angry people. Yeah, our expression, very powerful human nature that creates our human life and experience. Okay, and they all interplay, they all give rise to what other people recognize as our personality or our ego. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some dot to connect them as they're sort of like on the same level. Okay. Okay. Next, as human beings, we have a bunch of basic needs. Okay, basic needs, basic attachment. One of the basic needs is a need for wealth. In our past sharing, I used the word resources. Okay. We are still in the process of experimentation, so I am going to use the word wealth this time. In the past sharing, I used the word resources. Resources are things like material wealth, as well as the connection that we have in life, the power and influences. Resources are the thing that we use to get what we want. Same thing with wealth, material wealth, as well as the wealth of people around us, the wealth of ability. Okay, ability and money are the things that human beings basically need in order to get what we want in life. Okay, everybody wants and needs wealth. Besides from wealth, we have a basic need for beauty. Beauty takes on two forms: personal appearance, right? We take care of ourselves. We choose the way we wear, what color we wear. That is our sense of beauty. We look at other people and we judge they're beautiful or ugly. But not only personal beauty, we also have a sense of beauty in terms of the form and the spatial surrounding. Right? We enjoy going on a vacation and looking at nature. Some people find beauty in nature. Other people find beauty in architecture. In beauty in a form, sense of form, is the spatial surrounding, our room, our desk, the way we arrange things. Okay, our sense of space, those are our basic human nature with respect to forms and beauty. Beside from that, as human beings, we have the nature of identity. Okay, identity. Part of our sense of self is our need for identity. From our very first moment at birth, when parents call us by our name, we start to take on an understanding of identity. We start to see ourselves as separate from another person. Mom is different than me. Dad is different than mom. Our sense of identity is part of our human nature. Okay. I should have spread it out a little bit more, but in this this green circle, there is the wealth, the beauty, the identity, and as human beings, we're always thinking about our sense of identity. Okay. We have a need for consumption. Okay, basic human nature, we consume. The nature of consumption. We are always consuming something. If we're not consuming food or water, we're consuming the media. We're consuming ideas. We're consuming knowledge. We consume. To be human is to consume. And the marketing world, the business world, they are very good at stimulating our need to consume. Right? It is the nature of consumption that causes us to buy things. Without consumption, we would not buy things and there would be no economy. Okay, so we're always consuming something. And then we have a need for rest and recuperation. Okay, we have the nature for rest. Sleep, for example, is part of our nature for rest. To go on vacation is a nature of rest. Rest also take on a dimension of laziness, for instance. Okay, a person who is, let's say, unwillingness to open their mind and consider another point of view is a person who is very attached to the nature of rest. They don't want to bother thinking. They don't want to exercise and spend energy thinking. They just want to rest. So human beings, we have this innate nature of wealth, beauty, identity, consumption, and rest. Okay, that's what it means to be human. Okay, and we express themselves through all of that. We express themselves to the degree in which we desire wealth, to the degree in which we desire beauty, identity, the degree in which we consume and rest. Okay, and then outside of this circle, there are some more human nature, most important of which is desire. Okay, yeah, desire. We're always wanting things. We're all attached to things. We want wealth. We want beauty. We want our identity to be affirmed. We want to consume and we want rest. We have desire. Okay, that is what it means to be human. And the economic world, the business world is very good at stimulating our desire for these 5 green things: wealth, beauty, identity, consumption, and rest. And if we can understand our desire, we can start to take ownership of our own human nature, and we can start taking ownership of our own human life and experience. Okay. Next to desire, as human being, we have something called temperament. Okay, temperament. It has to do with our anger and our satisfaction. If our desire is not met, it switched over to our temperament. And in a little bit, I will explain the positive and negative polarity of each of these natures. Desire has a negative and positive polarity to it. Temperament has a positive and negative polarity to it. Okay, we have the nature of perception. Okay, we have the nature of pride. Okay, we can take pride in ourselves, we can take pride in our children and what we do. And pride has positive and negative polarity as well. We have the nature of inquiry. Okay, nature of inquiry. The nature of inquiry help us get to know things. It helped our cognition. Okay. Sân si mã nghi. We have the nature of ethic. Okay, we have good and evil. Ethic, we have sense of good and evil. And we have the nature of judgment. Okay, those are all human nature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16. That's it. 16 human nature. All of our sense of self, all of our personalities, all of our ego is made up of the interweaving, the complexity of these 16 natures. Okay, that's it. Instead of studying Western psychology, we only need to understand 16 natures and we will master our self, master our human life and experience. And all of these human nature is wrapped up inside a energy field, an electromagnetic energy field, if you will, which is positive and negative. It fluctuates positive and negative. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect because our fluctuation is never balanced and they're not perfectly. So we call that layer an energy field, a positive and negative energy field of human nature. And all of human nature is an interweaving, a complexity of these 16 nature that give rise to what we recognize as the ego, the personality, and the self. Okay. In fact, it is desire and imagination that is the focus of human nature. Desire and imagination, that is the focus of human nature. We are always desiring and we are always imagining. It is through the desire and imagination for wealth, for beauty, for identity, for consumption and rest that will determine the direction and the intensity of everything else, like temperament, perception, pride, inquiry, ethic, and judgment. Okay, I'll repeat that. Our desire and imagination for wealth, beauty, identity, consumption, and rest will decide the direction and degree of our temperament, perception, pride, inquiry, ethic, and judgment. Our desire and imagination for wealth, beauty, identity, consumption, and rest will decide the direction of and the degree of temperament, perception, pride, inquiry, ethic, and judgment. And that will decide how we receive things, how we express, and how we get to know things. Or decide what we receive, as reception, how we express ourselves, and what we allow to be part of our cognition. Think about that for a moment, okay? We're always desire in imagination, because desire and imagination is the focus of human nature. And desire and imagination for wealth, beauty, identity, consumption, and rest will give rise to our temperament, perception, pride, inquiry, ethic, and judgment. And that will decide what we receive, how we express, and what we choose to know as cognition. And so all we got to do is manage our desire and imagination. It's that simple. Manage our desire and imagination, and you can manage the entirety of human nature. And if we can manage our human nature, then we can also manage our human life and experience. And if you can take a step back and kind of look at this picture. This picture kind of look like the storm amidst the sea. There are waves, right? Our desire, they have positive and negative. Our temperament, they have positive and negative. Perception, pride, inquiry, ethic, and judgment. All of these are waves in the sea. And if the sea is really, stormy, we suffer. Essentially, that's what suffering is about. When our sea of desire, temperament, perception, pride, and inquiry, and ethic, and judgment is very, very wavy, very positive or very negative, we tend to experience a lot of suffering. And oftentimes we get lost, do we not? We get lost in the sea of human nature. Where can we go? Well, fortunate for us, we have a lighthouse. We have this truth within us. At any moment in time, in that storm, this sea of human nature, if we're lost, we can always look to the lighthouse. Look to the truth within us, the already always hearing, the already always seeing, and we will find that the wave will sort of smooth itself out. Or even if it's still wavy, we will be able to find this oasis, this lighthouse, this oasis, and we will experience safety in inner peace. Okay? And let's take a look at the polarity. Okay, let's take a look at the polarity of this human nature. Okay, take a look at the polarity of human nature. Okay, let's get another piece of paper. This is called the map of human nature. It is called the human construct. Human being, this is how we are constructed. Okay? This is human construct or human structure or human energy structure. We'll talk about the positive and negative energy in a little bit. This is the map of human nature, also known as the human construct or human structure, or energy structure. Okay, so let's take a look at desire. Okay, desire. Desire has positive and let's negative. Use this negative. Okay, positive and negative. So the wise one have taught us that when our inner state is positive, we will tend to attract positivity in life. When our inner state is negative, we will also attract negativity in life. And so desire is one of the main focus of human nature, and desire has a positive and negative energy polarity to them. The positive energy of desire is called altruism. Whereas the negative aspect of desire is selfishness. Selfishness is easily understandable, right? We want things for ourselves. Imagine a person who constantly wants things for themselves. Okay, everything they do for themselves. After a while, other people see them as selfish. They're not going to want to help them. They're gonna shun them. They're gonna push them out. A person who maintains nothing but selfish desire is not going to be able to get any help to get anything they want in life. Or if whatever they get in life, they will lose very quickly because they are selfish. It is a negative energy polarity of desire. Okay, just take a moment to kind of think about it. Whenever we do anything that we have ourself as a central focus, being selfish, we think we may gain something at first, but after a long while, that energy, that negativity is going to build up, and other people are not going to want to give us anymore. Our life will become negative if we are selfish. So desire for ourselves is called negative. Okay? It's called selfish. That's negative desire. On the other hand, there are people who desire a lot of things, but instead of desiring for themselves, they are desiring for other people. They want to help other people. They want to bring value to other people. And so we take a moment and we think about the people in this world whose desire is for other people. Are those not the charitable people? Are those not the saints, the heroes of the world? Because they desire for other people, the society, other people will be attracted to that. That is a positive energy. They want to help a person who has desire for other people. And so their life, they tend to get more positivity. They get what they want. They get a lot more of what they want. So desire has a positive and negative polarity to it, with altruism being positive and selfish being negative. It's that simple. So if we want our life to be positive and desirable, okay, if we want our life to be positive and desirable, it is a good idea to focus on wanting for other people. The Christian have a rule that speaks to this concept as well. It is called the golden rule. Treat other people as you would be treated. So if you help other people, other people are going to want to help you. If you only want to be selfish to you, guess what? Other people is going to be selfish to them, and so we get nothing. Okay? Desire has positive and negativity, and it is a part of human nature. Any question about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next one. Temperament. Very simple. When our desire is met, we are satisfied. Okay. Satisfaction. The positive polarity of temperament is satisfaction. The negative polarity of temperament is anger. Oop, it's a little purple. Anger, upset, dissatisfaction. So let's take a look at the person who is always angry. A person whose energy is always negative, always angry, do they tend to attract negativity into their life? They tend to attract more negative people, more angry people. A lot of angry people can create war. On the other hand, if our temperament is positive and we are satisfied, then we take on the positive energy polarity and our life is going to be positive. If we are satisfied with life, we are satisfied with what we have, a person who has a lot of satisfaction with life is going to have a pretty good life. Okay, pretty good life. And the truth within us would also help us move from anger to the satisfaction in a very simple way. Okay, so we have temperament, positive and negative, satisfaction being positive, anger being negative, extreme anger with wrath. Okay, all right. We have perception. Okay, as human beings, we have the nature of perception. Perception has positive and negative polarity to it. Okay, the positive polarity of perception is clarity. Okay, clarity. Whereas the negative polarity of perception is called delusion. Illusion. Okay. So positive polarity of perception is clarity, and negative polarity of perception is delusion. A person who has a lot of clarity can make good choices, bring positive things into their life. A person who is deluded tend to attract negativity, go deeper and deeper into suffering. Okay, it comes from our will to know, our cognition. It is given rise by our desire. Okay, our desire for wealth, beauty, identity, consumption, and rest. That will decide the polarity and degree of temperament and perception, depending on what we desire. Okay, if we desire knowledge, okay, if we desire clarity, if we desire inner peace, then it's going to bring us into a path that will get us clarity, that will get us knowledge and get inner peace. But if we desire for things like wealth, beauty, and identity and consumption without paying heed to knowledge, then we're going to be deluded. We're going to be deluded. We're going to be easily deceived by other people, deceived by the media, for instance, deceived by advertising. We're going to be manipulated, and we will fall deeper and deeper into desire for those things that does not help us. So we can choose to desire positive, we can choose to desire clarity, and then we can move ourselves into that direction. Okay, desire, temperament, perception. We have pride. Okay, as human beings, we have pride. Okay, nothing wrong with pride. Self-confidence is a good form of pride. Okay, on a positive and negative polarity of pride. So the negative polarity of pride is inferiority. Okay, so a sense of inferiority. I'm not good enough. You notice that a person who is inferior, who has no sense of pride, will attract negative things. A child at a playground, a child who has a great sense of inferiority tend to get bullied and picked on. Their life is very undesirable. They attract negative circumstances. So it's a good idea to have a degree of pride, a confidence in oneself. Okay, so positive polarity of pride is confident or superiority. Here it's really interesting because too much of a positive can sometimes swing to a negative, and too much negativity can swing into a positive. A person who has extreme confidence will fall into a state of arrogance. Okay, later on we will discuss how a state of arrogance is actually a negative form of pride. Okay, a negative form of pride is inferiority, but a person with a degree of humbleness or humility is actually positive. Okay, we'll get into that later. But pride has a positive and negative polarity to it. Know that if we are positive, we are confident, we tend to attract positive things into our life. People respect people who are confident. On the other hand, if we're inferior, we think we're not good enough, we're going to attract a lot of people who want to bully us. Okay? Okay. And then we have the nature of inquiry. We want to know things. Okay? Or not. We want to know things or not. A negative polarity of inquiry is doubt. We don't really want to know. Okay. A positive polarity of inquiry is trust. Okay. We know enough so that we can believe to be true. Okay. A person who goes around and doubting everything doesn't really have anything good going for them. Think about it. A person who doubts tomorrow is going to be any better. A person who doubts the words of their teacher, who doubts the words of their parent. A person who is full of doubt is going to live in a state of fear and anxiety. Already in that moment, they are already set on doubt. They don't want to know anything. The nature of inquiry is negative. Their life experience is negative. But the person whose inquiry leads them to a state of knowledge and trust, they get to know and then they believe that to be true, their life is going to be pretty good. Trust the parent, trust the teacher, trust people who have already succeeded. Their life is going to be pretty positive if the nature of inquiry is positive, leading to a trust. Okay? As human beings, we have the nature of ethic. Okay? That's a simple one. On a positive end of ethic, we have goodness or benevolence. I'm going to use the word benevolence. Right? Kind, benevolent people will tend to attract kindness and benevolent circumstances into their lives. On the other hand, evil people or cruel people, cruelty, okay, people who are cruel and evil will attract evil and cruelty into their lives. It's that simple. It is human nature. Okay? Human nature is governed by law of causality, cause and effect, by the golden rule, treat others as you will be treated, ethic, benevolence, and cruelty. So we want our life to be positive, focus on being positive, focus on benevolence. And finally, we have the nature of judgment. I think I may have made something. Okay, yeah. So with judgment, there is positive and negative polarity to it. With the negative polarity of judgment, it is called obstinance. Okay, obstinance. Oops. NCE. Yeah, obstinance. On a positive end of judgment, we have open-mindedness. So think about it. A person who is open-minded, person who's open-minded makes possible for more knowledge, right? Makes possible for more knowledge. It will influence their perception. They will get more clarity. Okay. They may, yeah. A person who's obstinate, on the other hand, refuses to take in any new knowledge. They maintain their opinion, their point of view. They're fixated on their way of being. After a while, their perception will become diluted. They will experience negativity in life. Tham sân si mạn nghi ác kiến. Tham sân si mạn nghi ác kiến. Yeah, that's it. Okay, those are human nature that takes on a positive or negative polarity, with desire and imagination being the focus of human nature. And if you notice, because desire is a focus, okay, if we let's say at the end of the day, we are going home from work, maybe we're tired and we're hungry, and guess what? At that moment, we desire food, and we're imagining food. And for those of us who are fortunate to have somebody who cook for us, we may be imagining and desiring food on the table. Maybe our wife or our husband is cooking for us. And when we come home, depending on our desire and imagination for food, if we're the kind of person who tend to be altruistic, then at the moment, if there's, let's say, no food, if there's no food, we are desiring an imagination for food. But if there's no food on the table, if we are a person who's altruistic, altruism meaning other self, think about other people. If we are altruistic, then our temperament will switch over to satisfaction. Okay, so there's no food, but that's fine. I'm thinking about other person. Maybe my spouse is busy, maybe something's going on. I'm worrying about the other person instead of worrying about myself. I don't go angry, I don't go negative. But if our desire and imagination for food is selfishness, then at the moment we come home and we see no food on the table, our temperament is going to go to anger. Right? We're going to become angry, usually at our spouse. Okay? And it may start to affect our nature of inquiry. We may doubt our spouse. What are they doing? Can they be trusted? And at that moment, if our desire for food is selfish and our temperament is anger and our nature of inquiry is doubt, we may turn to cruelty. We may say mean things or do mean things to our spouse. And if our desire for food is selfish, our spouse may give an explanation, but our judgment at that time, since we're already negative, our judgment may be obstinate. We refuse to see our spouse's point of view in explanation of why there are no food on our table. Our life experience has just gotten negative and undesirable. But if we are a person whose desire take on an altruistic form, thinking about other person, then when we find there is no food on the table, first of all, temperament, we're satisfied. Okay, fine, no food on the table. I still maintain trust in my spouse. Maybe there's something wrong, okay? my ethic is benevolent. I'm going to be concerned about my spouse. He or she doesn't have time to cook. Maybe they are in trouble. And whatever explanation that they give, I'm going to be open-minded and listen. Why? Because my desire for food is altruistic. Okay? Do you get that? With desire and imagination being the focus of human nature, all we gotta do is manage our desire, and it will give rise to all other nature. And people will see that as our personality. It will see that as our ego and our sense of self. Chị Bích Hà, go ahead and speak up. Thank you for raising your hand.
Thank you, Frank. Just to clarify about selfishness, desire on the two sides, selfishness and altruism. I just wonder because for me, I will use just like satisfaction on the altruism side, just like when we, just like in the example that you made, when a person came home and seeing no food, that's the other side. But the satisfaction or the other side of the positive side is when he or she did not expect to have food, but have more. It turned out to have more than expectation. It will become satisfaction. So I think the range will be on that aspect, not about altruism. So can you explain more? You understand? You get what I mean?
Yeah. When we receive something that is beyond our expectation, okay?
Yeah. Can I talk in Vietnamese to simplify it, right? Cái altruism là mình vì người, selfishness là vì mình, nhưng mà cái phần tham á, cái tham á, nó là khi mình ở cái góc dương, nó là hài lòng, tức là khi mình ham muốn mà mình có cái tưởng mà mình vượt ngoài. Còn cái ví dụ của Frank á, thì là mình về nhưng mà mình vì người mình không thấy thì mình chỉ có không giận dữ hoặc là mình không ấy thôi, chứ còn mình đã có tưởng mà nó vượt ngoài cái tưởng của mình thì ở trong cái tham á thì nó sẽ là cái cực dương. Giống như cái ví dụ của thầy á, là chưa có, nghĩ rằng không có đồ ăn nhưng mà lại có nhiều hơn đồ ăn nhiều hơn mình muốn, thì nó sẽ ở cái cực dương đó là hài lòng. Còn cái kia là cái chuyện là vì người, là tôi về tôi thấy không có đồ ăn, vợ tôi và những người thân của tôi không có đồ ăn thì tôi sẽ không nổi cái sân hoặc là những cái trạng thái âm lên thôi, nhưng mà mình cũng không thể gọi là hài lòng được á, cái cực dương á. Yeah.
So when we are experiencing when we are receiving something that is greater than what we desire, okay?
Yes.
When we experience something that is greater than what we desire, even for our selfish, okay?
Yes.
Even for ourselves, let's say we're desiring just food for ourselves, never mind other people. And it is possible for a person to be to fall into the temperament of satisfaction because we receive something for ourselves and it exceeds our desire, and that's fine. That's just a part of our temperament at that moment in time. Okay, that's just yes, we have a negative desire. Okay, we are carrying at that moment. Just know that we are carrying a negative energy of desire called selfishness. However, at the same time, we are also carrying the positive energy of satisfaction. But here's the thing. If we continue to maintain the negative energy of selfishness, wanting for ourselves, how long do you think that satisfaction is going to be able to maintain. If we continue to crave selfishness, right? If we continue to crave food for ourselves, yes, today things tend to be we get more than what we want, so we feel very satisfied, we feel very happy, we're even grateful. But if we continue to maintain the desire for ourselves, at some point, if we continue to maintain that selfishness, the wanting the food for ourselves, then at some point, this will no longer be positive. Think about that. If we continue to desire for ourselves, then no matter how much food that we get, at some time it's going to be pulled over to the anger side. At some point, it's not going to be enough. Because our
Yes, that's true. That's true. Because
Yeah.
altruism is range from desire to all the seven character, temperament, perception,
the
and
desire,
pride, and
it
everything.
gives rise, it
Yeah.
gives rise to everything else. Desire
Right.
give rise to everything else. Yes, at that moment, we have a selfish desire for food, and we get a lot of food. Yay, we feel very good. We are positive because our temperament is very positive. It seems like we're positive because the temperament, the satisfaction is very positive at that moment. So it seems to overshadow our selfishness. But if we continue to maintain the desire for food for ourselves, at some point, we're not going to be satisfied anymore. No amount of food is going to be enough. And so we will start to crave, we will start to be angry, we will start to go negative, we will start to blame other people, okay? You see how that, human nature, ego, personality, it is a complexity, it is an interweaving among all of these natures. And the wise one have taught us that simplest way to maintain positivity is just kind of focus on desire for other people. If we are a person who desire for other people and we have a lot of food, what would we do? We would more likely share that food, right? But if we are a person who is, let's say, selfish and we get a lot of food, what do? We eat it all. We don't share with anybody. What do you think that's gonna do to our relationship with other people, our affinity with other people? I give this guy a lot of food and he just hog it all he eats. He'll be very satisfied, but not gonna want to give it to them anymore because they're gonna eat it all and they won't share it with other people. And so in the long run, maintain positivity in our inner being is a better way to go if we want our life to be positive and desirable. Does that make sense, you guys? And so if the human nature is like a big storm, and this is a map, these are also sort of like the signpost can point us to navigate. How do we navigate so that we can stay atop of the wave? We stay positive instead of negative and beneath the wave. But the positive and negative nature of human nature, because they fluctuate, they can swing between positive and negative. A person who has a lot of altruistic desire for other people, very positive at first. Think of people who do charity, right? There are many people who run charity and spend many years helping other people, very altruistic. But if they constantly help other people and they don't satisfy their selfish need, at some point they may, let's say, run into trouble and they may have a certain need and they will switch over to selfishness. Do we know any CEOs or CFOs of charitable organization who take money from the nonprofit charity and keep it for themselves? Right? There are people who spend many years helping other people, helping. And At some point, they may, have a run into some financial need, and they would just take from other people. They go from benevolent to cruelty. Why? Because the human nature fluctuate between positive and negative. We can never guarantee that we will be able to stay positive all the time. At the same time, there are people who are very selfish most of their lives. They work to accumulate just for themselves. And at the end of their life, they feel like all of that is useless and worthless. And so they give it all away. They become very altruistic. Andrew Carnegie, the richest man is in the world at his, at the time of his life. At the end of his life, after many decades of accumulating money, give it all away. Who's an investor? Who's a rich investor in America? Also, same thing, giving away 95% of their fortune. So, human nature swing back and forth, positive and negativity, and we can never guarantee that we will maintain positive all the time. Fortunately, we have a map pointing us to a state of inner balance. It is a state of emptiness and the truth within us. So at any moment when we kind of take a moment and we kind of, assess our own desire, if we notice our desire is really strong, whether it's positive or negative, it may be a good idea to take refuge in that state of balance. Once you go back to the state of balance, then you can reinitiate the positive desire and then go back to balance. And then reinitiate positive desire and then go back to balance. Why? So that you can protect yourself and prevent yourself from going too positive and then falling into negative. Just like the nature of pride. Confidence is good. But a person who may experience too much confidence at some point may become very arrogant, or maybe they have a lot of confidence in their ability, and then they may encounter some negative situation. They may fail and then lose all of their confidence and become completely inferior and lose all the courage. Do you see that happening, right? You've seen people, successful people, seemingly successful people, accomplish everything, and then they may run into some really big challenges, and then boom, they lose all the will to live. Because positive and negative will swing, and if we don't protect ourselves by maintaining a state of balance, we may fall into negativity without knowing it. Same thing with the nature of inquiry. A person may have a great trust in somebody, may have a great trust in the parent, the teacher, the religion. And at some point, due to the extreme trust, they may run into some situation that does not answer their question about life, for instance, and then they lose their trust. They become doubtful. People lose their religion because of that. They lose their faith. You've heard of that phrase, right? Losing your faith. And then the opposite could be true. A person could doubt something for most of their life, and then something happened, and then they just switch over to trusting completely. So positive and negativity is all part of human nature. And if we just let ourselves be run by our positive and negative nature, then our life really, it's kind of pain. Yeah, that's where pain and suffering comes from, when we allow our desire and imagination to swing back and forth, positive and negative. But we can protect ourselves with the energy of serenity by practicing mindfulness, which is noticing the already always hearing, the already always seeing, already always speaking, and the already always knowing. And that's all we have for. Let's just write something real quick. I'm just gonna draw right outside of this positive and negative energy field of the human nature is what the Buddhists call, let's see, let's use Brown. They call it, let's do it down here, 84,000 bubbles of illusion. Okay. So I'm going to draw a bunch of bubbles, big bubble, small bubble, complete bubble, incomplete bubbles. 84,000 bubbles of illusion, basically standing for 84,000 fleeting feeling emotions. Okay, 84,000 bubbles of illusion. It is through desire in imagination for wealth, beauty, identity, consumption, and rest that determines our temperament, our perception, our pride, our inquiry, our ethic, our judgment, which also decide what we receive, how we express ourselves, what we get to know, and at the same time, give rise to our feeling emotion. And feelings, emotions are like bubbles of illusion. They well up and then they go away. They are never permanent. And they do not reflect the truth about life. Our feelings, emotion is nothing more than our body's reaction to the mind. Okay, we feel our emotion in our body. Okay, so right outside of our emotion is what's called our 4-element body. Okay, to simplify things, we're going to use the classical definition of the human body as well as the Eastern understanding of human body, which is made up of earth, water, air, and fire. Okay, just a simplification of way of looking at the human body. If we study the human body from a Western medical perspective, we'll never get to an understanding and mastery of human body. But if we study human body through the reference of earth, water, air, and fire, we will know how to balance it, and we will know how to get to a state of health. But the point that I want to make here is that we feel our emotion in our body. That's why it is our emotion, our bubbles of illusion, is next to the body. We feel our emotion in our body. Yeah, our heart palpate. Our head get really hot when we get angry. In fact, if we're angry for long, we will experience damages in our body, which is our stomach. If we're sad very long, if we're very negative for very long, we will experience heart failure. So our mind directly affect our emotion, would directly affect our body. And of course, our body, as well as our emotion, is also wrapped up in a positive and negative energy polarity. Okay, our body go positive. That means when we're really healthy and strong, and we can resist diseases. If our body goes negative, that's when we're sick. Okay, whenever we're sick, it is simply a state of unbalance. When we're out of balance, we get sick, basically. Too much positive will also get us sick. Too much negative will make us sick. So our emotion and our body experiences positive and negativity. Our mind experiences positive and negativity. So if a person can maintain a state of balance with the refuge in the truth within, they maintain balance in the inner being, guess what? they will also maintain balance in their mind, which is our personality. Okay, this whole part, this human nature, another word to use is the mind. And if the mind is in balance, it will make our emotion in balance. And therefore, it will keep our body in balance. If the mind is constantly fluctuating between positive and negative thought, fluctuating between positive and negative desire, temperament, perception, pride, inquiry, ethic, and judgment, then guess what? Our emotion is going to experience positive and negativity, and our body will be out of balance because it is constantly positive and negative. And when our body is out of balance, we get sick. All right, so we want to be healthy, maintain balance, maintain serenity and inner peace, and the rest of our mind and our body will follow through. Do you guys get that? Okay, so that is called the map of human nature. Okay, if we're lost in the sea, we have the lighthouse. That's it. Let's get some feedback. Lesson, insight, realization, or any question from anybody. You guys still there? There's a bunch of people in the Zoom. Everybody's so quiet.
I fell asleep at nature and I woke up.
That's good.
Just before
That's
nature.
good. That's great. as long as you heard it, okay. As long as you hear it, the already always hearing will receive that information, and then you will transform. Thank you, Andrew. Anybody have any feedback before we say goodbye for today? Ron, welcome back. Welcome, Ji Hua, for coming back as well. Oh, are you still in Vietnam?
Me?
Ron and Ji Hua?
Ron, yeah.
Yes, we're still in Vietnam.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for joining our Zoom.
Today we leave for Thailand.
Oh, okay. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, any of the
But, yeah.
material, any of the material resonate with you? Any new insight you would like
Yes,
to
I
share?
remember going over this diagram before with you many times.
Okay. Did you get anything new?
From the last time, no, it's all the same. But
Okay.
yes, it's very good information.
Okay. All right. Thank you for joining our Zoom. Okay.
Yes.
Chị Bích Hà, you had your hand up and you unmuted. Sorry, I cut you off. You wanted to say something. Chị Bích Hà.
Oh, just say thank you to Frank and congratulations on your just like wonderful and impactful work. And I see the improvement from the videos at the beginning to today. Yeah. So thank you, and I learned a lot from this session as well. So continue the good work. Great job. Thank you,
Yeah,
and nice to talk to Andrew and all the people here in this Zoom, even though we are still a small number.
Thank you.
Chị Bích Hà, which mentor or master program did you graduate from?
From which?
Which one?
Yeah, the same master as Frank.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for your participation today. I am very honored by your presence.
You're
Somebody
welcome.
Okay, so
Pleasure.
we'll continue talking about human nature next week. I want to promote the weekend course. So I've opened up another group for the weekend. It is going to be 6 a.m. Pacific West Coast time, which is 8 p.m. on Saturday in Vietnam time. It is intended for people who have studied the material and want to practice sharing just the way I do it. Okay, so this weekend we're going to have a gentleman who's starting pre-med to 7. His name is Vernon. Wonderful, very bright young man who understands a lot about the material. He will be doing the sharing on the principle of transformation. For those of you who are interested in practicing or attending the session, you let me know and I'll give you the link to the group for this weekend sharing. Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, you guys take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.